You have to adjust the camera. How's it going, YouTube? The name's Alexi Midnight. Welcome back to the channel. If any of you are watching, I'm using this video more as a practice video. I'm trying to get back into streaming. I'm trying to be more consistent with streaming and YouTube. Want to post more videos and all that stuff. But I just saw the fucking Iron Lung movie. Let me tell you, that was probably the best like Eldritch horror movie I've ever watched. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, for those of you, first off, that don't know what Eldritch horror is, if you're not a fan of Dungeons and Dragons or like certain types of anime, specifically in the seinen genre, and then or like cosmic horror, it's a bit hard to explain. Eldritch horror is sort of a weird mix of aliens meets like well, obviously like sci-fi meets magic because it takes entities that have like supernatural powers, which you could say is just like because they're near gods or different like race of beings altogether. But Eldritch horror straight up like takes like some aspects of magic and interesting mind control, hallucinatory aspects and then commits it to a monstrosity. Like I That's probably the better way of saying it than alien. It's more of a monstrosity type of creature. But I did not think that that was what Iron Lung was like going to be when I watched this movie because for those of you that don't know, Markiplier decided to create a movie based on an indie horror game of the same name, Iron Lung. The game takes place in a future where basically all of humanity disappears in something known as the Quiet Rapture. But all of a sudden, as like hospitable worlds and stars end up disappearing from the universe altogether, the only surviving people are people that were on space stations or on just different structures altogether that were man-made. And pretty much, sorry about the burp. Pretty much, they end up studying what's left behind. Moons, probably some certain stars. They were trying to see basically like what the hell happened. Why did everybody disappear? And they end up discovering these moons with blood oceans on them, just out of nowhere. These moons that they've probably studied before that did not have blood oceans all of a sudden do, which obviously it's kind of a bit strange when all of humanity disappears and then this suddenly appears on objects in space that weren't there before. So they decide to study it, and they send a convict, like a criminal, into a giant metal submersible that is welded completely shut, called the Iron Lung. It has a limited amount of oxygen. You actually can't see outside of the thing. All you have to work on is a map that is basically a scan from the surface, and it tries to go as deep as possible. So you get a map, you get coordinates, and then you have the ability to move the vehicle, but you can actually not see anything outside of it. Very fun game. Takes about 45 minutes to finish, so I was surprised to hear that like Markiplier was working on a movie based on the game that's 1 hour long, and the movie is 2 hours and 7 minutes long. So I'm just like, what are they gonna do? And it boggled my fucking mind, honestly. But I'm basically gonna get into the entire story. I did spoil some things, so unfortunately, spoiler warning from this point on, because everything I'm talking about now is about the movie, not about the game, not about what it is. I did kind of say it was Eldritch horror, which is a bit of a spoiler because you don't realize like what the type of movie is. Because I walked in with a completely different ideology, a different idea of what the movie was. I thought the movie was legitimately going to be about the horrors the convict experiences in the game because I didn't expect it to take the turn that it did. So beat for beat, I'm gonna go over this movie. This is also going to help me just get better at improv, get better at speaking into the camera because I'm trying to get back into that habit. Um, but in any case, Markiplier. Let's start with him. I'm not the craziest fan of him, mainly because I'm more fallen out of love with YouTube. It's not his fault at all. It's I kind of hate the platform. It's used to be about fun. It used to be about like just all this cool stuff that creators were putting out. Now it just feels like everybody's trying to follow a trend, and that trend is the algorithm, and the algorithm is destroying YouTube, in my personal opinion, making certain things popular that shouldn't be. Like I understand, Mr. Beast sort of became the standard for YouTube. Now everybody copies what he does, where you have like groups banding together to make these like challenge videos and stuff. Like YouTube used to be more funny videos, like vlogging, like gaming centralized. You had beauty creators, you had artists, you had this entire thing. Now it feels like my feed is all the same thing. I don't even get like recommendations for like new creators that had like are probably of a specific niche that they probably get no love because they're just not following a specific trend. And the algorithm, weirdly enough, is that it's going to put out the most popular stuff, but depending on the type of videos you watch, it will try to readjust you in that direction. So you're gonna get more videos like that. But for me, coming from a gaming centralized space, a lot of the videos I watch are gaming, and a lot of the videos involve like popular creators. Like I used to watch PewDiePie, I used to watch Markiplier, I used to watch Jacksepticeye, all of them. Used to watch Nadeshot, fucking now he's in 100 Thieves, which is impressive. I'm a big fan of him. And YouTube has sort of taken a nosedive for me, where everything is now just it's all the same videos. And that's the problem where I'm looking for cool stuff, I'm looking for new stuff, I'm looking for interesting stuff. All of a sudden I'm getting pretty much the same videos all in the same line, like just from different creators, and I'm like that's not interesting. So I was completely out of the loop for this movie, and Iron Lung would like stupefied me. I remember watching that video a long time ago. I don't even remember when he posted that video, but I remember I used to watch Markiplier more than I do now. Um, and I watched that video. I didn't realize that like they had updated the game since then. There's like apparently lore and cheat codes now, and that's really cool. I feel like that's probably what set up the movie to be as good as it was, is it probably had a lot more than what the base game was. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure he was working with the original creator, so the original creator probably had a million ideas of what he actually wanted the indie horror game to be. It's just he couldn't put all those ideas in there. I mean, it takes time to make video games, especially if it's like a one-man army. You see Concerned Ape with Stardew Valley. Updates come in like every year, and it takes forever to implement. And Jesus Christ, I will say it. This needs Hollywood. This needs to be the new standard for Eldritch horror movies. Because when I think Eldritch horror, the first thing that comes to mind is that really shitty movie with Kristen Stewart. What was it called? Underwater? Where, and I'm gonna be honest, if you're a fan of Subnautica, you know that fucking giant monstrosity at towards the end of the movie is not Cthulhu. They call it Cthulhu. It's not fucking Cthulhu. In the script, it's literally Cthulhu. It is not. That is a fucking sea dragon. If you know what Subnautica is, you know that the thing that they show at the end of that movie is literally the fucking sea dragon from the video game. Which, like, I have to understand. It's like, who created that creature in that movie? Because either they were a fan of Subnautica, or like that is the most coincidental thing ever. And I'm surprised Subnautica didn't sue for the rights to that, to what that thing looks like, because that just didn't make sense to me. That like, why the fuck am I looking at a sea dragon in this movie? Like, that's fucking cool. Like, I kind of wish in the script it wasn't Cthulhu and it was like a new creature that they call the sea dragon that they were studying or something, and like they didn't want to wake it. It was like dormant. So that was the standard in Hollywood for Eldritch horror. There's not many like good Eldritch horror movies out there that explain what the genre is all about, because the entire idea of Eldritch horror is it's not just like a monster is the scary thing. It's the psychological aspect of being fucked with something that is actively messing with your head. Like when I say that Eldritch horror earlier in the video is like it involves hypnotic like sort of like just cosmic horror, like aliens kind of fucking with you with magic. It's like it's supernatural, it's strange, and in this movie it does it perfectly. And now I'm gonna be real, the movie is not perfect by any means. It has major flaws that even to a certain point, I kind of hated. But that from the second half on, gold, fucking gold. But tit for tat, let's get started with actually talking about how the movie plays out. So the beginning of the movie, I'm gonna be real, I hated the first 30 minutes because it was a slow burn. I did not know this movie was going to be a slow burn, where it's sort of just like it starts with a small fire and then you're pouring gasoline like along the way, and the fire gets stronger and stronger and stronger. That's pretty much the essence of like slow burn. And I I did not think that that's the direction that the movie would end up taking, but it did. And the first 30 minutes, I'm gonna be real, I'm bored. I'm bored. I'm kind of mad about it. And like it was really difficult to separate Markiplier versus the character he was playing. So you had Simon the convict, and then you had Markiplier. And because crisscross applesauce, I couldn't separate the two, at least for the first 30 minutes. Because I'm gonna be honest, Markiplier's acting skills not the best. At least for the first 30 minutes, because I think he's one of those people that like is kind of like a method actor where he has to get into the character in order for his skills to kind of show. So like for the first 30 minutes you kind of see him struggling to play the character. You can see certain flaws about it, and like even certain facial expressions feel wrong. It's also an R-rated movie, which thank God it was an R-rated movie. Jesus Christ. And the amount of blood in this thing is impressive. So we start off with Simon the convict. And for the first 30 minutes, I couldn't really get into the character. After the first 30 minutes, Markiplier's acting skill set fucking increases an exponential amount. You like he starts here and then he ends here. Like it's Jesus Christ. There is a certain level of talent he actually has. Now, I'm gonna say this: I kind of wish he had that from the very beginning of the movie to the very end, because this is the first time I kind of see him in a serious note. Because I remember watching Heist with Markiplier, but clearly Heist with Markiplier is meant to be a jokey film thing. But with this, it was a more serious take with a more serious genre and more serious story. So you would assume the acting needs to be more serious. And I did not know that he was actually going to be starring until I saw the final trailer release on his channel, to which I was like, huh, why him? And I take back everything I thought, because wow, I'm impressed. I'm wildly impressed. Like how much it improves from beginning to end. At the end point, I'm just like, oh my god, this is awesome. And now we gonna get into the story. Enough about Markiplier, enough about acting, enough about all that. We start immediately with Simon the convict. He's in a situation where he's welded into the iron lung, and he's getting sent down to take images with by the way, I did not know this about the game, but the way you take photos through congealed blood is with an X-ray radiation blast, and it takes a photo of whatever you hit. So you're going to see like foreign objects, but if you do run into a creature, you end up seeing a skeleton, which is mortifying to think about. And wow, I must say, some of the jump scares actually do kind of hit. Never once did I'm gonna be real honest. I think labeling this a horror was incorrect. It's more of a thriller, but because this is an Eldritch movie, I guess you do have to kind of label it horror, because this is a monstrosity that is not it's not normal. This thing looks kind of terrifying. Never want and I'm grateful throughout the entire movie, they never once truly reveal the monster up until the very end. And even then, you don't even really get a good look at it. It's it's the fear of the unknown, especially in the Iron Lung, because Simon throughout the entire beginning is like kind of terrified because he can't see a damn thing, but then his he has a marker where essentially they light up every time a foreign object appears. And when it starts beeping, you're thinking something is nearby the ship, especially when it's right in front of the ship, and then suddenly the left marker is beeping. It means it's moving. Like, the, the fear of the unknown and the fact that you're in a compact, like, submarine, like, the whole set is just one room. And throughout the entire movie, I felt claustrophobic. I'm in my seat, like, are the walls getting smaller or am I going insane? And just, yeah, no, fucking, wow. The bold choice to make this movie one set, one room, and rock with it is, like, ballsy. It is a very ballsy choice, it's difficult to do. You don't just make a movie in one place. You usually, like, moving from place to place. But with him taking the scans underneath the blood ocean, you sort of get this like horrifying feeling that like you can't see anything. Like the one porthole he has to close because his depth is so low that the pressure will break the glass and fill the thing with blood and have him drown. So he's exploring, he's like looking at specific things, he ends up finding a skeleton, and the skeleton ends up becoming a major point at the beginning of the story. It was actually the thing that had him like raise up in depth a little. So what had happened was he took a photo of the skeleton. He ends up like being pulled up by the team on this ship called the Consolidation of Iron. I'm assuming that's the station they were on. And like the Consolidation of Iron, they end up pulling him up and he actually begins to get attacked by creatures and they end up saving him. But when they raise him up, the entire idea of Simon the Convict is he was supposed to go in, get some information, because essentially they're trying to collect resources to save humanity from whatever they can on these moons. And he was supposed to go in, get some information, get out. And they end up fucking with him the entire goddamn movie, like holding the idea of freedom because he was a criminal who apparently did a bad thing. And I will be honest, a little bit of Simon kind of gets lost in the story because what I want to know more of is his past, and they do touch on his past, but they don't ever outright explain it because I think the whole movie is the idea of being in the Iron Lung. They didn't want to like flash back to certain points too much because then it takes you out of the moment. And I think it was also meant to be like a hallucinatory flashback from being in such a depth, in such a confined space, and not to mention he's dealing with an eldritch monstrosity that's actively fucking with his head. So the entire time these flashbacks feel like not real. They feel like just trauma, and it's like enforced. It's not. It doesn't feel natural. Like he's thinking about these moments and regrets it. It's the moment is just being jabbed in his fucking brain. So he ends up getting raised to the Consolidation of Iron. They end up seeing the photo of the skeleton. They think they want to take a piece of the skeleton to examine it, figure out what the hell's going on, and how this thing is alive under the water. Meaning that it's eating. It has a resource that's keeping it alive. So they send him back down. He's pissed the fuck off, taking a lot of anger out on them. And not even accidentally, he straight up does it. He activates the X-ray camera and hits the people in the room with radiation. So that pisses them off and dumps them back into the blood ocean to get as much information as possible. And with the attachment that they added, it was to grab a piece of the bone to just ram into it and then raise it back up. During this entire like debacle where he's getting sent back down, we end up seeing him explore more and try to find the skeleton. The skeleton ends up disappearing, which means this thing is either alive, like he found a live creature that was just sleeping, or it's a legit skeleton and it got moved, like something moved it clearly. So he's exploring around. He ends up finding it again. And the people in the intercom, which the entire time he's like communicating with the Consolidation of Iron, um, is telling him, ram into it, get a piece, we'll get you back up, we're gonna study it. And he ends up ramming into it. But in the process of ramming into it, more foreign objects appear on his radar, and they just begin to attack him. So as they're raising him, trying to get him out of there, he ends up getting attacked. And in the process of getting attacked, he gets like set off course completely. He's off the map. He had a map with scans of where he was going to explore. He's no longer on it. His coordinates are way off. And throughout the entirety of this like movie, we're slowly being introduced to the being that's fucking with him, like the monsters that exist in the blood ocean. And maybe it's not monsters, it feels like just one monster the entire time is choosing to fuck with him. And like the entire beginning of the movie, again, a slow burn. The first 30 minutes feel like dead, but as soon as like shit hits the fucking fan, like right as they raise him into the consolidation of iron and he activates the X-ray, I kind of knew it was going to get better. And it turns into this like horror. It feels like legit horror at a certain point. It still feels like a thriller movie, but I guess yeah, it feels like a horror movie because now you're off the map. You have no idea where you're fucking going. He's actively has to make a new map in order to try and navigate properly. So he creates an entirely new map. He's alone. Nobody is talking to him on the intercom, and the little bit that he explores at the very beginning of after waking up and like having a flashback to some bad things that have happened in his life, specifically what happened with what made him a convict, which is apparently uh, it was like a group of people called like Eden because of the last tree, like a tree that apparently that was their last hope of survival. Um Essentially, they ended up going against the COI, which is the Consolidation of Iron, and they blew up a place called Filament Station. And apparently, Simon wasn't a part of that at all. Like he, I guess he was an unknown killer. Like he actively fought against the COI, and he got earned the nickname the Butcher. But in the process, their group ended up choosing to blow up Filament Station, and he wanted nothing to do with that. He thought that that was too far. But the place ended up blowing up, killing a lot of the people of Eden, and they just pinned the blame on him. So that's why Simon ends up in the Iron Lung. And that flashback, it gives you enough information, but again, it's like I wanted more. But but I get it. You can't stray from what the story is about. The story is about the Iron Lung. It's about the Blood Ocean. It's not about Filament Station. Filament Station could be its own movie altogether. So he dedicates a lot of time to the Iron Lung and how just claustrophobic and horrifying this feeling is of not knowing what is around you. So when he finally does wake up and he explores a little bit at the very beginning, while he's off map, he takes an X-ray and he runs into the Eldritch being, the main Eldritch being that is fucking with him throughout this entire movie. You see this giant skeletal face of what could be a sea creature because this is an ocean of blood, so you assume it's like a sea creature close enough. Closest thing to an alien sea creature, and it's fucking staring directly at the Iron Lung. Like it knows it's alive. Like he knows that this thing is moving around and there's something inside it. And then he takes a second photo, he sees it again, and he takes a third photo, and it's gone. It disappears. So he decides to reverse and explore as much as he can the opposite direction. Turns out he goes in a fucking circle, which I thought was hilarious. That all this time he had been spending exploring this cavern turned out to be a giant fucking circle that he couldn't avoid because of the where the one fish was. He didn't want to fucking go in there, and as he's exploring, he ends up like running into a hallucination where he's speaking with something over the speaker, but with like a little bit of a time skip. The speaker's fucking broken, or at least we think it's broken. Then we go back to this moment. So, with the active knowledge that this speaker is broken, it's clearly a hallucinatory event that whatever the Eldritch being it's actively putting into him. So he believes he's speaking with another group of survivors that were left underneath, and they somehow have survived a ridiculously long amount of time. And he's thinking, I gotta help them. We gotta figure a way out of this together. And they sort of actively give up, realizing that he's just as stuck in their situation as they are. So she stops talking to him, and he sort of goes on a rant where he's like, I just want to survive. I'll do anything. Like, please speak to me. I think I have a concussion, but if you're real, speak to me. And the speaker ends up speaking again, and it tells him to go to a very specific coordinate, where he ends up going there and runs into a portal, something that is believed to be connected with the Quiet Rapture. And in the process of getting there, he's actually having a conversation with the intercom about what happened at Filament Station. And it's weird because when you think about Eldritch horror and like beings that fuck with your mind, they immediately try to attack the parts of your life that you despise, that you lock away in the vault. And it tries to pry about Filament Station, about what happened to Filament Station. And it just feels so like it's trying to grasp onto something. It's trying to grasp onto a weakness in Simon and just fucking abuse it. And he ends up like going to this weird portal. He like goes through this entire terrible bloody fucking like it's just a whole hallucination, and he spawns seeing like an eldritch monstrosity in front of him, and then back straight into the fucking iron lung, just gets teleported immediately, and he's vomiting blood. He realizes he's like fucking losing his mind, and immediately the intercom starts to talk to him as he is exploring again. He goes back to exploring after vomiting blood, and the intercom starts speaking to him again, and he thinks it's a fucking lie. He thinks it's a hallucination all over again, but he starts asking questions and it realizes it's the captain of the COI. So immediately he's like going on an explanation. It's like, you guys got to come save me. Like I fucking found the SM8, like all this shit, and they're like confused. They immediately assume like, how the fuck do you know about that ship? And he goes on to explain, I found it, and I mean, it has a giant fucking hole in it, but I found it. It's written on the side of the fucking like submersible, and they immediately tell him, we're sending you back. You got to go back there. Like, and they finally like start haggling, like, I get my freedom, right? If I do this, I get my fucking freedom. And then they absolutely like use like the freedom card to try and get him to do this. So he ends up going back to the SM8. He gathers the data that it has on its black box, because apparently it was trying to download the data. He just didn't have the credentials to do so. He ends up downloading the data and then immediately tries to get out. And as he's contacting through the intercom, because they send a second submersible to try and save him, she's immediately panicking. She's like, please, you gotta save the black box. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, you're not gonna leave me fucking in here, are you? Like, you're not gonna just try and come and save the black box? And it turns out she's getting fucking attacked by more creatures. So there's definitely more than one creature at this point. And she gets killed. And then suddenly he starts hearing a voice, and it's the voice of the Eldritch being that's been fucking following him since the beginning, fucking with his head. And it begins to chase him in one final chase. So the creature ends up in front of his submersible, and he rams into it, injuring it, and then immediately reverses like at full speed, trying to get out as soon as possible. And the iron lung begins to become infected. Like, the blood ocean is actively trying to get inside. It starts ripping at it. It starts filling with blood. He ends up going into some of the blood in order to get his black box. And even stranger is, I completely skipped over this. This was a major beat of him downloading the information. An audio recording plays off the download, and it explains what was going on the SM8, and it turns out the blood ocean is human blood, and that the people on the SM8 were trying to synthesize whatever they could to survive with the blood. I guess the SM8 had like a food synthesizer as long as it had ingredients, and it turns out it could make something with the human blood, and some of the like crew were trying to eat it. So fucking humans eating humans, cannibalism, pretty much. But fucking the fact that the blood ocean is human blood means this is what happened to humanity. Whatever happened during the Quiet Rapture, all of that human blood ended up getting transported to these extra moons that were like didn't get eliminated because it had no hospitable way of living. So just wow, just horrifying, just completely horrifying to think about. And in the final chase down, he's trying to save the black box. He realizes, all right, I'm not getting out of here. I have to do my fucking best to tell everybody to stay out of this fucking ocean. He actually like does what the captain was asking, where he's saving the black box, tying a life preserving like a life preserver around the black box, like trying to keep it safe. And then he decides to risk it all. He opens his porthole knowing that it's going to fucking like blast blood into the iron lung. And he's already getting infected by the blood. The blood is just like for some reason is like connecting to him. I don't know how. It's obviously Eldritch horror. It's fucking horrifying. It feels like watching a virus take control of your body or like a parasite take control of your body. And the blood is actively like keeping him attached to the submarine. So he's got to rip his fucking arm off just to keep moving. He's doing what he can. And then immediately, while he sees like the blood is congealing, it's becoming fleshy. It's trying to destroy the iron lung and slow it down. He's keeping the black box nearby the porthole so that it gets blasted and sent directly up to the surface so that humanity can take whatever information is on there and use it to the best of their ability to survive. And it feels crazy because any information that the SMA ended up collecting feels like it isn't going to help. It's still the end of times for humanity. Like, what information is going to save humanity that we've learned in the very little time that we've spent underneath the blood ocean? It just feels like the end. And I'm so grateful because, like I said, this is the only movie that does Eldritch horror correctly. Because the entire idea of Eldritch horror is there is no defeating this. It's just an impossibility. So the movie ends with the iron lung getting consumed by this like giant sea creature, and we see the life preserver at the surface of the blood ocean being collected by the remnants of humanity. So it ends in like a failed mission, in my personal opinion. Because back to what I was saying about like this being the only Eldritch horror being done correctly, is Eldritch horror never has a good ending. It never does. It never will. And that's honestly good for what Eldritch horror is. It's meant to feel like impossible. It's meant to be an impossibility, and humanity is just trying to fight against it. You can't fight God, right? Like the best way to say it is you can't fight God. If God appeared right in front of you, no matter how many times you punch him, no matter how hard you hit him, there is just no succeeding. It is the ultimate failure. You can't do anything about it. So the only thing you can do is struggle. And that's what this entire movie feels like. It is a claustrophobic struggle to survive. It is not trying to beat this thing. Like you can't kill this thing. You can't stop whatever happens like after this. There is no reversing the quiet rapture. It is just failure. The only outcome of this entire movie is failure. And that is Eldritch horror done right. Never once should it feel like you could kill this thing. There's no way you could kill this thing. There's no way you're getting out of this alive. You're just struggling. And I love it. It's done correctly. Like if the god Cthulhu from H.P. Lovecraft's story Call of Cthulhu, if he showed up, what are we gonna do? Send nukes at him? No, we're not. The nukes are gonna do nothing. He's the closest thing to a god in like eldritch horror. There's like almost every cosmic horror is considered god level. So trying to fight that thing, it's an impossibility. All you do is struggle. And this movie feels like a struggle that is always going to end in failure. Even the little bit of hope that we get at the very end of the movie of the preserver being collected, it feels like no matter what they find on that thing, it's going to end in failure. And that's eldritch horror done right. That is, never once should you be able to succeed. What Simon succeeded in is just delaying the inevitable. It's basically telling humanity, don't come into these fucking oceans. Don't fucking do anything. This is human blood. This is what happened with the Quiet Rapture. Fucking survive until you die. That's it. It's just saving everybody from the worst type of death, is drowning in blood or being consumed by one of these creatures. You are giving the remnants of humanity time. That is all you're giving them. And my God, like it warms my heart that it's finally done right by somebody. And Hollywood needs to take this movie and set it as the gold standard for eldritch horror. Like, I don't want another fucking Underwater. I don't need another one of those movies. And in fact, the only other good eldritch horror movie is not even really eldritch horror. It's like eldritch creatures, and it's Love and Monsters with what was his name? Dylan O'Brien or something. I forget that actor. But Love and Monsters, fucking phenomenal movie. If they actually made it eldritch horror, that would have been 100 times better to me. But it's just an eldritch movie with like a cute love story interweaved into it. It's like an adventure through the Eldritch universe, but it's not horror. And it weirdly did Eldritch right. It just didn't do Eldritch horror. And this is the first really good Eldritch horror movie. Markiplier, hats off to you. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but everything you did here is fucking phenomenal. Like, if I had to rate this thing, it's a solid, like, maybe 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Like, fuck, it's really good. I don't know how else to describe it. It does everything it should. And I'm sure critics are gonna disagree. Like, if whatever Rotten Tomatoes is gonna rate it, I guarantee Rotten Tomatoes is gonna rate it like 50%, and then the popcorn meter is gonna be 90, which, I mean, yeah, this movie is being watched by your fans, but like, they're not gonna say your movie is good when it's not. They're your fans, but they're gonna be like, you could have did better. Like they're gonna let you down softly, like White Knights. Like, um, I'm your fan, but like, yeah, this could use some work. Like, you did this really good, really good. This is really good, but this needs more attention. Like, that's all they're gonna do. It's your fan base is honest with you, and not to mention, it is. I'm a part of the Markiplier fan base. I was a part of the Reddits and some of the comment threads. It's it's just so fucking like like your community feels like a home, and it feels like everybody's welcome and everybody's nice because they know you're a nice person. So like, yeah, this movie is going to succeed based on the fact that like your fan base loves you and your fan base is going to support you. Like, shit, I'm probably going to go watch this movie a second time. But the reason I'm watching it a second time is different than your fans watching it a second time. They're gonna watch it a second time because they know you made this movie and they want to see more Markiplier. But there's like a 20% of your fan base that probably like hasn't watched you in forever, but they heard you were making a movie, so they wanted to check it out. And they're gonna go see the movie again because it was legitimately a good movie. Like, legit, it is an 8 out of 10 in my personal opinion. 9 because it's Eldritch horror and it's finally done right in a theatrical format. Like, it's the first. It is the first that has actually done it right, where it's not about defeating a monster. It's not about defeating a god. It's about being in such a shit situation and struggling to survive. That's all it is. That is the embodiment of Eldritch horror. It doesn't end in success. Read most of H.P. Lovecraft's story. It always ends in some tragic way. Or if not in a tragic way, it ends with nothing but trauma. Where if the person did get out of it, he's traumatized for the rest of his life. And that's what this movie is. It's just the worst type of trauma, and it's the worst type of tragedy is the inevitability of death. There is no succeeding. There is no beating whatever is in this blood ocean. And just yes, like I love it. I love it. I will forever love it. Story beats phenomenal. The slow burn honestly kind of turned me off at the beginning, but like after 30 minutes, fucking chef's kiss. It is phenomenal. Ah, I guess I can say the only thing I wanted was more of Simon's backstory. That's it. But like that's a small thing. Now, I guarantee critics aren't going to view it the same way because I know the way critics view it. It's the way I kind of view movies. I'm not a professional critic, but I understand where they're coming from with specific story beats and involving like the checklist of cinematography, like certain things you have to hit, um, where you need like an overarching character narrative that needs a resolution. Like if a character has a flaw, they need to solve it. There needs to be like some level of like romance, or if there is romance, like if the story introduces romance, it needs to resolve that romance. Thankfully, this movie doesn't really do that, so that's probably like gonna get nixed from the checklist. It needs to feel like the story needs to feel like it has purpose, and the story does feel like it has purpose, but it's just a question on which critic is reviewing because what they perceive as purpose is different to every person. There's just a long list of things that critics need to see in a movie in order for them to feel like it accomplishes everything cinematography is about. Now, in some cases, like it varies on the person because it is personal bias. It's whoever's reviewing is going to give you one answer while the other people are going to give you another answer. So I don't see like reviewers honestly giving this a good look, but it's gonna be like another Venom because the critics reviewed Venom as like terrible, like not a great movie with Tom Hardy, and all the fans disagree. Like I remember that Rotten Tomato score was like what 32, and the popcorn meter was 96. Like everybody fucking loved this movie and all the critics were so off their like they were out of touch with humanity at that point. Like it was such a good movie. It was funny, it was cool, it was Venom. And like this I feel like this is going to be another one of those movies that like if anybody does watch it that is not a Markiplier fan, they're going to legitimately enjoy it for what it is, especially if they're going in with no expectations and not knowing where the fuck it's going. Like thank God I went in with low expectations and a knowledge of the game because that ended up being probably one of the best things is because I had no expectations. When I was introduced to the Eldritch horror element, I fucking fell in love. Mm. Thank you, Markiplier. You are a fucking legend. Now, I'm probably going to end the video here, review it to see how I could have done better. Maybe I do need to start script writing, but I kind of want to avoid that because I like improv. I like being able to express my opinions even if I got to repeat myself 11 different times. But I hope you all have a wonderful and safe day. I'm Alexi Midnight, and I'll catch y'all later. Hope you guys watch Iron Lung. Definitely do watch Iron Lung. If you can donate blood, there that was one of the major marketing things that Markiplier did, where if you're able to donate blood, because in America there is a blood shortage, please donate blood. People need it. People want to live, so your blood could possibly save another person. If you haven't seen Iron Lung, please go watch it. Especially if you're a fan of like Eldritch horror, H.P. Lovecraft. It is the only Eldritch horror movie done right, in my personal opinion. So you will fucking love it. You will absolutely love it. And I know this is like a spoiler full like review of this movie, but I get like I told you the story beats it does not do it justice. Like you could have watched this entire review and understood everything I said. You did not understand it completely. The visuals are everything you need to know. And the movie does one more thing really good that before I end this video, I'll just quickly explain it, is the fear of the unknown. Throughout this entire movie, there's a level of the fear of the unknown. When you don't know what you're being attacked by, it is terrifying. And throughout this entire movie, yes, we have the X-ray camera showing us that stuff, but we only see the skeleton of the. Never once is the creature actively shown up until the very end of the movie, and it is clear from what happens at the end that the creature lives. Like the creature doesn't die. The creature ends up victorious. Also, it's it's perfect. It's for me, it was a perfect movie. If I could rate it a 10, I would, but there were too many problems with it that will keep me from rating it a 10. It will always be a high 8 or 9. It is never going to be a 10. Um, Still, fucking phenomenal job, Markiplier. You deserve all the love and praise. You deserve every dollar that this movie makes. And I'm gonna be real, if you can keep making these types of movies, I will buy every single one of them on Blu-ray, put them on a fucking shelf, wrong side, put them on a fucking shelf, and like that entire section will be dedicated to Markiplier Eldritch horror movies. Iron Lung was the first of something great. So I hope that you keep going. I hope you make another movie. And maybe you don't have to be the star actor. Maybe you could get somebody else to do it, because I know that the filmmaking process is probably like super stressful. Especially, it took 3 years. Like that's enough of an explanation to tell you that the process was probably extremely difficult. But phenomenal job. Thank you. Thank you so much. If you could do more, please do more. Do like a proper Cthulhu. Maybe you could finally be the first to introduce Cthulhu into a movie and fucking make it good. Please. Please end that movie and give it a bad ending. It's supposed to have a bad ending. That's what Eldritch Horror is about. Make like ah, eh, mwah. Fucking love you, Mark. Fucking love you. Anyways, everybody have a good day. I'm Alexi Midnight, and I'm signing out. Peace, everyone.